Hi, this is David Massover on behalf of Dharmic Selling. Thank you for watching our video on what is Dharmic Selling and why should I care. In this 8-minute video, we're going to cover the following topics. What is the Dharmic in Dharmic Selling? What Dharmic Selling is not? What problems Dharmic Selling solves, in other words, what's in it for you? How Dharmic Selling solves those problems, and if all that's interesting to you, at the end we'll show you where you can learn more about us. So first of all, what is Dharmic? Well, Dharmic derives from the word Dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit word, and Sanskrit is the ancient language of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. That said, Dharmic selling is not about religion. But Dharma is an interesting concept, and it's very applicable to selling, which is why we use the word Dharmic selling for our company. Dharma is somewhat hard to define in English, but generally speaking it means the principles that govern the universe. Think of it as kind of a cosmic law, how things really work and how things really are. It's also used in a similar way to describe the teachings or the truth about how those things work. And if you do know anything about Buddhism, you know that at the macro level, the emphasis is really seeing things clearly, seeing how they work, understanding them, removing filters from yourself so that you can see the universe clearly. And we want to apply these same kinds of principles not to the entire world, but to the world of selling, where it also applies. So how does this all relate? Well, if there's a Dharmic principle called seeing reality clearly, then in Dharmic selling we want to make sure that we're seeing sales situations clearly. If there's a Dharmic principle about ethics and integrity, which there is, we want to have a selling strategy that involves ethics and integrity. How does this come into play? Well, if you're seeing things as they really are in an unfiltered way, if you're not seeing people or situations through the filters of your own biases and your own prejudices, then you realize other people are just other people trying to get things done and trying to get through their lives and trying to get through the world as best they can. And when you take this perspective, a natural extension of that is to say, well, then you know what? Why don't we all cooperate and get through this thing together? Which leads you to an ethical and integrity-based way of conducting yourself. And this applies in life in general, but of course it also applies in selling. When you take these two concepts and add them together, you wind up with a Dharmic principle revolved around taking the right actions based on your understanding of reality and ethics and integrity. And in selling, the same thing applies, using the right sales behavior based on reality, ethics, and integrity. Just to make sure that we're clear, we're not talking about selling by meditating. Meditating is great. I love meditating. I do it myself, and I find it to be a very fulfilling part of my life. But meditating is not selling. What we're talking about is selling in a Dharmic way. So when you start exploring Dharmic selling, we're not going to be teaching you to cross your legs and chant and clear your mind and do all of those things. We'll be talking about how to sell using Dharmic principles. If you'd like to meditate to enhance your capacity to do that, maybe that's great, but that's not what we're going to teach here. We're going to talk about the selling. So, what problems does Dharmic selling actually solve? Well, I've personally spent over 2 decades in sales, and I can tell you from my own experience that salespeople often feel bad about their work. Worse than that, the customers they work with also feel bad about their work. Salespeople often don't know how to be effective, which leads to them feeling bad about their work. And because they're not effective, their customers feel bad about their work. Unfortunately, sales is very results-oriented. You need to get the sale. You need to hit your number by the end of the month. You need to hit your number by the end of the year. And if you take those two ideas together, that salespeople don't know what to do to hit their numbers, yet they need to hit their numbers, very often they will try to be effective at the expense of the customer, which only leads to more bad feelings because the customer feels they're getting taken advantage of and the salesperson feels like they're not operating from an ethical and integrity-based kind of a place. And all of these things together might be called the suffering of salespeople and those that try to work with them. So how does Dharmic selling solve all of that? Well, Dharmic selling is about doing the right things, right with respect to integrity and effectiveness, right with respect to the customer, right with respect to the salesperson, and right with respect to the need that needs to be solved, what it is that the customer is trying to accomplish. To get from here to there, within Dharmic selling, we talk a lot about the sales process. Now, the sales process is a set of steps that you would take to get from the beginning of a sales interaction to the end. And it's not the same as a spiritual path. A spiritual path, for example, the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, is not necessarily linear, one step at a time, but metaphorically it's the same. The idea is that to get to a place where you eliminate suffering, there are some things you have to do and some ways that you can do them that will be likely to get you to your destination without a great deal of suffering. And that's the idea of the Dharmic selling process. It's efficient and it's effective. It also brings together the real understood needs of the customer with the real needs of the salesperson to sell whatever it is they're selling, because at the end of the day, let's face it, that is the job. So how does all of this work? Well, Dharmic selling and the Dharmic sales process starts by defining the right mindset for selling. You can see a short video about that on our website. No charge, go take a look, and it will explain that one part of it in more detail so you can understand how exactly we apply this right mindset to the sales process and to your effectiveness. We emphasize targeted prospecting methods. Dharmic selling is not about send out 100,000 emails or letters or cold calls hoping that 1% applies. Target the people well so that when you contact them, you already start with a positive connection. Yes, that is something I'm interested in. Let's talk more about that. Dharmic selling emphasizes that you should add value to the process for your prospects by being an expert in your field. The more value that you can create for your prospects, the more likely you'll get the sale, and the more likely they'll appreciate you doing what you do to work with them. This way you ensure efficiency for the salesperson and you ensure that the prospect's needs are well understood. Here at Dharmic Selling, we're on a mission. For too long, salespeople have been seen in a bad way, and too many deserve this. Dharmic Selling helps salespeople to be effective and to feel great about their work results. Dharmic Selling is about helping customers have great experiences with their Dharmic salesperson. And in this way, everybody wins and the mission is accomplished. So if this was interesting for you, maybe you'd like to learn more about us. If that's the case, I welcome you to come to our website, www.dharmic-selling.com. There you can find some free sales trainings, like the one about mindset and some others, to help you learn more about us at no cost or obligation. We also have some premium sales trainings. We have a 6-hour sales training on the Dharmic sales process, for example. We have a suggested reading list where you can see books related to both selling and to some Dharmic principles. We write book reviews about them and direct you to places where you might buy them. We have some free ebooks, and we have a section of the site called Sales Haiku, where you can read haikus that were written by Dharmic Selling and other authors, and you can contribute some if you like. You can also join our communities on the internet. On LinkedIn, we have a Dharmic Selling group and a Sales Haiku group. We would love you to come and contribute and participate. You can follow us on Twitter, @Dharmic Selling and @Sales Haiku. Obviously, we have a YouTube channel, the Dharmic Selling channel. You're watching a video there now. And you can visit us on Facebook. We have pages for Dharmic Selling and for Sales Haiku. So thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit more about us. We hope this has been informative, and we hope to see you soon at our website. Thank you.